But unfortunately, I could have a Spanish course conducted by Alison Miller, who was trained by Lozanov before he was house arrested. I think he was before he was house arrested. But anyway, she was a genuine suggestopedia teacher. Spanish course, 2 weeks. Then I moved to New Zealand, tried to use. Well, so I was so fascinated by the method, although I didn't understand fully. I tried to use as much as I can in high school and university and other occasions.
So very early in your career you found Suggestopedia?
I think so. From very early moment, yes. Yes, that's right. And when I about 1 year and a half passed while I was in New Zealand, and one member of Japan Association of Suggestopedia rang me and asking if I would like to take Lozanov's course because he would be coming out of his country for the first time after his house arrest to Tokyo. And I said, it's not yes or not. Yes, I would. Then I took his course January 1989. 2 weeks, 40 hours course and his lecture in Sanno University, Tokyo. And after that, in the same year, in August, I was also invited to have another one step further course in Bulgaria, this time in Sofia and the place called Borovets, with the same student. And that time was 60 hours. Maybe it's vice versa, 60 hours in Tokyo and 40 hours in the, but you know, 100 hours to get all together. Then what I found was that this is not an accelerative learning, so-called. This is pretty unique scientific method, which has a ground, certain ground. And many people believe that Suggestopedia is another second language acquisition theory, but it was not. It started with psychotherapy. He tried to fix all the problems with psychosomatic people, lighter ones, like migraine, sleepless, and other things. And so through his treatment, he found that the social suggestive norm plays a great role to people, to make people psychosomatic. All sorts of social pleasure, intensive learning. So you have to become a good language speaker in, say, 2 weeks. You have to learn a lot, and that sort of thing. The pressure caused them some sort of somatic problem. Then Lozanov treated them to relieve them from social suggestive norms. Then he found that the disease is going away. But when disease is going away, their ability of memorization improved. So he wanted to prove that thing. He used the 14 words memorization to prove his method. And he started with 100 words, then 500 words, then 900 words, and to 1,000 words. And he was content about that result. But at the same time, you can use this for language teaching.
So actually it was kind of a side effect of his psychology experience. He's a psychologist,
yes.
Psychiatrist.
It's a spin out. Yeah.
So you mentioned he was under house arrest. Can you tell us a little bit more about?
I don't know why it happened. The Bulgarian government was at the time was communist government, kind of dictatorship, and he was respected by one member of a dictator's family. Then, so he himself was not communist, but he was, say, respected, and he was given such a good position. He to become a leader of a psychological institute called Institute of Suggestopedia. This has a different name, but he led hundreds of staff, and he could use all sorts of facility there, and he could have a right to go out of communist country to the United States to promote his method and sort of things, even though he was not a communist. But the political climate has changed someday, and all of a sudden Bulgarian government house arrested him. They stopped him from going to the United States at the Sofia airport. They confiscated everything, passport and his institute, and they shut down the institute all at once. They sold his name and Suggestopedia to a private company in the United States.
His research disappeared, right?
Disappeared. But his university, Sofia University of Bulgaria, was sympathetic for him. So they gave Lozanov a position and a very small research institute. Eventually, that was only a room. So all he could do was to go back and forth from his home to that room every day to do some research, but he was not allowed to publish any sort of material, not even in Bulgaria, but also to overseas. That lasted 10 years. So virtually the information was shut. Nobody could get any information from Lozanov unless you just smuggle into Bulgarian. Some did actually to interview Lozanov and etc.
So during that time, maybe the idea of what Suggestopedia is and maybe got a little bit distorted. Is that right? Because some of the things you said in it was really interesting talk you did today, because what I believe Suggestopedia was is not necessarily true.
No.
Can you sort of explain some of the myths, like, for example, the Baroque music?
The so-called Suggestopedia is majorly brought from a book called...
Is it Accelerated?
No, that before actually not Super Learning. Not the same authors of Super Learning wrote a book called something Behind Iron Curtain. What was that? Psychic. I have to. It's in my computer.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll tell you.
I can check it later.
It's a 1969 book.
Okay.
Mentions all about strange things in the behind the Iron Curtain. Soviet Union, Bulgaria, Poland, Hungary, etc. Mystic things and occultic things, materials. So all sorts of mixture. Among them was Suggestopedia. So Suggestopedia was from the beginning one of them in the United States. And then soon after, the same authors wrote a book, Super Learning, which was a bestseller, still selling very well. But the description about the Suggestopedia is virtually the same, based on their very short observation of Lozanov's early experiment. Lozanov used Baroque music. Maybe some slow ballads were among them, but he very early renounced them because, as I said, it brought you to go asleep, sleeping state. In a sleeping state, you cannot learn anything. So he started to use more lively music, lively ballad. But soon after, among his students, there came Evelina Gateva. She was learning Italian opera, and she was a singer, soprano. And she learned German in a suggestopedic lesson. And after the lesson, she came to Lozanov, said, "You need me." And Lozanov said, "What?" She had this idea that Lozanov's method needs music, classical music, colorful music, dynamic music, to stimulate human brain in a positive way. And then experiment started. What kind of music put up your mind? Then they found the music that's on the music list. But in the United States, the last time Lozanov visited the United States was 1977. The State University of Iowa held a suggestive accelerative learning and teaching conference, the second one. The first one was held without Lozanov, and they invited the second Lozanov for the second one. And Lozanov gave a lecture and candid talk with psychologists and scientists and all renowned people, very serious scientific people then. And Gateva made some demonstration. And that was his last appearance, I suppose. Probably not. But soon after he was house arrested, and the Association of Suggestive Accelerative Learning and Teaching
Excuse me.
Was led by, soon be led by Jane Bancroft, a Canadian researcher of language. She was closely related to those people who wrote Super Learning. And she brought, because they couldn't get in touch with Lozanov anymore for 10 years. So they brought some other ideas to explain Suggestopedia.
So it kind of evolved in a different strand, in
Yes.
a different direction.
Yeah. And what Jane Bancroft brought in Suggestopedia was called sophology. Have you heard of sophology?
Sophology, no.
Sophology is a scientific yoga system. You do the meditation before the language classroom, and teacher asks to visualize something, colors or sceneries, something good, and then you go into the language classroom to teach and so on. And they also introduce some other idea into the so-called concert reading. They do the concert reading, but with slow ballad, with couch. They lay down on the couch and close their eyes to listen to the music, slow ballad. The teachers read it very slowly, which is really like group therapy of hypnosis or something like that. So they go into hypnotic, left Suggestopedia to hypnosis.
So which elements of Suggestopedia are the most important? Which things do teachers need to do? So we don't need the comfortable couch, for example. We don't need slow Baroque music. What do we need if we're going to teach in a Suggestopedic style?
What you need most is what Lozanov calls psycho-relaxation. It's a relaxation, but not necessarily be body relaxation, physical relaxation, psychologically relaxed state, which is a state as a child. Curious, spontaneous, and optimistic, creative kind of state.
And how do we create that?
How do I create that? In a classroom, you use a lot of emotional tasks like songs. Songs is very important. Laughter is very important. Surprise is important. And praise together from teacher and together among students. Praise each other, praise one another, very important. And also the freedom in the classroom is also important. So creating such kind of atmosphere promote creativity in the classroom, psycho-relaxation.
You talked about creating a fiction is important. So students take on roles other than their own. It reduces anxiety.
Okay, that is important for, there are two problems to overcome in creativity in language classrooms. One, creativity is domain specific. All sorts of creativity is around, but they are all different. Artist has creativity in such field, and mathematician is also creative in other sense. Bank clerk is even creative in other sense. All sorts of creative are different, but in the classroom, all sorts of people are in the classroom, and each person has different creativity. Perhaps you have a student who is very suited to your creativity, then he would become very motivated in your classroom, and you will like him. But other students may not suit that kind of creativity, and he keeps quiet, and that makes you don't like him, kind of stuff. So that means you fail to create a creativity that is shared by all people in your classroom. That is one problem. The fiction can overcome that sort of creativity problem. In world of fiction, you have different name, different personality, different occupation. That what is not really you. Even mathematician is your real profession. You can become an artist in a classroom with different name. Then this is you, but not you. So you are relief in a sense that real you is protected in this fiction world, and your creativity as your fictional creativity is not your real creativity. So this creativity can be shared with others, because this creativity is not really specific. And everyone has different name, different occupation, different people actually. So this is a special world that's not real world. Is protected yourself from being real you.
So can you bring authentic materials and authentic teaching tools into the classroom as long as you approach them within the fictional world you've created?
You can bring all sorts of materials, authentic materials or not authentic. It's okay. In that fiction, this is fiction anyway.
As long as you keep that.
Yeah.
Fiction.
Yes. So in terms of authenticity, if you believe that authentic material is what it means, it's not. It's not in de-suggestopedia. But if you consider authenticity as a context, I mean, authentic. If there's an authentic context, Suggestipedia can give authentic context in a way.
I suppose any classroom is inauthentic, right? But in
that sense.
Suggestipedia, in that sense, but in Suggestipedia we create our own inauthenticity, our own fiction.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. So, I want to talk a little bit about teaching Japanese, because of course I'm an English teacher in Japan,
Yes.
and you're a Japanese teacher in an English-speaking
Yes.
country in Australia.
Yes, foreign language teachers.
So, do you think foreign language teachers are sharing across disciplines enough?
Yes,
You do?
I think so.
Good.
Second language teaching and foreign language teaching are quite different, I suppose.
I mean, do you collaborate with other teachers of other languages in Australia?
Yes, there are several foreign languages are taught in Australia: Spanish, Italian, and other Asian languages like Korean, Chinese, Indonesian. Yes, we can collaborate, and particularly Latin teachers, Spanish teachers, Italian teachers are fairly sympathetic to Suggestipedia.
Actually, I was going to ask, do you think that Suggestipedia attracts a certain kind of student or a certain kind of teacher, or it's applicable to absolutely everybody?
Well, it's meant to be a method for everybody, but I don't know. Some likes it and some don't understand. Some it's I don't know. It's all depending on the situation, depending on who you are, depending on the human relationship with you. As a independent person, someone may like to be involved in Suggestipedia, but if the situation is with your colleagues, it's just relationships will determine your attitude, and it is very difficult to persuade your colleague. Colleagues are really hard to persuade. They are all independent teachers. Once a teacher, always teacher.
So if somebody was thinking about incorporating some suggestipedic ideas into their classroom, but they were a bit nervous, where do you recommend they start? What's your first advice for
First
how they should
advice
begin?
to learn some language with Suggestipedia.
So try it yourself,
Yes,
and you'll be convinced.
yes. Without doing that, you wouldn't know.
Okay, well thank you very much for taking the time to talk
Thank
to
you
me.
for listening to me.